Greetings, fellas in time and space. This is your host, Tomoya Shadow, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back once again to some more Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. We're going to be continuing right where we left off in the last live stream, where we had just completed the Tower of Zot. Now, I'm not sure what's in store for us from this point forward, so we're just going to see what happens from this point forward. So, without further ado, let's get started our way with today's adventure and see what's in store for us. And see the Jewel of Thavnair. Had enough rest, have you? You never were one for being idle. Right. Varshan bade us come to Megaduta at our earliest convenience. The others will join us there once they have finished tending to the prisoners. Ah, wait, on second thought, you and Estinian should go on ahead. I need to make a quick detour by the Great Work. We left Graha in the alchemist's care, you see. Best to fetch him before he's crammed into a specimen jar. Just you and me, then. The guardsman at the gate should wave us through. Ah, Lieutenant, you are free to enter at your leisure. As I cannot leave my post, I'm afraid you must make your own way. Should you require direction to the city, the central station at the fountain atop the stairs should be glad to assist you. Though I have been to Radzenhan before, this place is a veritable maze. Rather than risk getting lost, we had best ask for directions from the sentry at the fountain. Lead the way, and don't expect me to act as your tour guide like certain others. Ah, Master Yami, I presume I understand you are here for an audience with the Satrap. If you require directions to Megaduta, I should be glad to provide them. The Satrap's residence is situated in Dharma, the highest part of Radzenhan. To get there, I would ordinarily recommend a route that takes you by the bazaars in the city's north. Due to the state of alert, however, most businesses are currently closed and the Etherite disabled. As such, I will provide you with an alternative path. First, please ascend the steps next to this fountain, then continue left. There will be more steps, and upon ascending them, you will emerge on Paxa's path. Proceed through the large door on the right, and you will arrive at Ruveda Fibers. When then, you will find another sentry who will give you further guidance. In other words, we head up. Sounds straightforward enough. Heading to Megaduda, are you? In that case, please follow this hallway to my right and go through the door at the top of the stairs. You'll emerge at the entrance to the airship landing, where another sentry should be on hand to assist you. Incidentally, if you ascend the steps to either side of me, you'll find a workshop of innovative fibers, where you're free to observe the artisans. Take care not to lose your way. If you're here for an airship, I'm afraid all flights have been suspended until further notice, so a state of alert is still in effect. Perhaps it's for the best. That aside, we're not here for an airship. We have business at Megaduda. Oh, in that case, permit me to direct you. From here it's quite simple, really. Ascend these steps and to continue straight ahead and across the bridge. You cannot miss it. I remember passing by here with Varshan. The situation being as it was, he regretted not being able to show us the sights. Life has yet to return to normal here, but when it does, you ought to pay another visit. Though the city is confusing, the food is quite good. I'm partial to Hamza myself. The meat's surprisingly tender and flavorful. Squawk, squawk. They heard us. Greetings and welcome to Megaduda. May I inquire after your business? We are members of the Science of the Seventh Dawn, come at the invitation of His Excellency. Ah, of course, we have been expecting you. I will show you into the audience chamber if you would please follow me.
Are we the last to arrive? I hope we've not kept you waiting.
Not at all. Your comrade is feeling better, I trust.
Much better, thank you. Harness remedies are certainly potent, in more ways than one.
One becomes accustomed to the taste, although I hope you never have cause to do so. Pray, take your ease.
Full glad I am to see you all unharmed.
Valiant scions, for your heroism, you have my boundless gratitude. You cast down that dire tower and set free its hapless captives. You cleanse their souls of its corrupting influence. Words of thanks will suffice. In place of platitudes, I offer a bounty of warding scales. Pray accept your due reward, along with the goodwill of Radzatan.
Alchemists throughout the land were put to work in the forging of your talismans. The finished ones have been collected, and now await you at the High Crucible of Alchemia. Present this letter when you are ready to take them into your possession.
We are humbled by your generosity. Know that the inventive wisdom of Radzatan will be vital in restoring serenity to our star.
Every single one of those scales came from you, didn't they? You must still be in such pain.
Oof.
'Tis of no moment. A mere annoyance compared to the dreadful suffering inflicted upon this land and its people.
Albeit brief, my involvement in the Dragonsong War afforded me a glimpse of the myriad sorrows which consumed both dragon and man. Though you were half a world away, such tragedies as befell your kin must have affected you deeply. And yet, you chose to live among men.
In the age when that conflict first bloomed, my choice had already been made. In some distant place, man slew dragon, and dragon slaughtered man. Yet no hate could I muster for those smiling faces which did look to me for guidance. Not even my brother's righteous rage could rally me to his cause. I huddled here, secret and still, hoping against hope that which I had built would remain untouched by the chaos and carnage.
'Twould seem we share the same desire for peace, great Vritra. To that end, I wonder if we might trouble you with another question. The Telophoroi are intent on recreating the final days, an apocalyptic event which we know to predate the sundering of the star. As the longest lived among us, know you aught of this terrible cataclysm?
Nay. When war and strife drove my sire from his home, he crossed the great expanse with only our unhatched
Midgard might know something about it.
He alighted upon a shattered source, its 13 reflections long since scattered beyond the rift. Of events preceding his arrival, he knoweth naught, save that which Hydralin hath deigned to disclose.
I see. So again, 'tis the inscrutable Hydralin to whom you must look for answers.
Seek you to divine the will of this star? If so, I have a tale which may afford you some small comfort. 'Tis a story from my youth, many, many years ago. To my sire, I once posed the question, Of all the stars in the sky, why didst thou settle upon this one? To which Midgardsormr did reply, "'Twas the last bastion of hope." He believed so long as Hydaelyn endured, so too might dragonkind. Solemn and portentous were his words. What deeper meaning they held, I could not, dared not pursue. 'Tis a stone I've left unturned ever since. Yet take you solace in the knowledge that whatsoever Hydaelyn does strive towards, 'tis an ideal which hath earned my sire's conviction.
Thank you, Vritra. You've given us warm reassurance in a world gripped by cold uncertainty.
While I'm sure we all have a great many questions, I think it's time we collect the talismans and be on our way. Our fight against the Talophoroi is far from finished.
We must take our leave, but please do inform us if we can provide any further assistance.
Prithee, a moment. There is one whom my sire hath judged worthy of honor and respect. The one known to men as Eorzea's champion. This hero of renown and rumor. 'Tis thee. I knew it to be so. From man and dragon alike have I learned of thine exploits. 'Twas a revelation most pleasing that thou, a child of man, had gained Midgardsormr's trust. But alongside mine elation runneth a rivulet of dread. For upon thy life's wheel wind too many threads of fate, power, wheel enmeshed with woe. Amidst this tangled knot thou shalt know no rest. 'Tis an endless confluence of forces, a struggle without surcease. More terrible still is the attrition wrought upon thy companions, as they are swept up in the storm of thine existence. Take heart and protect them well. They will be your strength and your salvation. The hope thou wilt need come the end. Even cowering behind my curtain, I know the suffering of the powerful. I have watched my siblings driven mad by loss. Thus do I exhort thee to spare no effort to keep thy loved ones safe.
Apologies. We hadn't meant to interrupt.
It's just that we do have a history of suddenly collapsing, and when you didn't follow us out...
'Tis I who must apologize. I have detained your champion overlong with idle chatter. Go. At war's end, I pray I welcome thee back into my hall, where together with thy joyful comrades, you may toast your triumph.
So, what were you and Reacher talking about? Nothing? Very well, if you say so. The others have gone ahead to the High Crucible. Let's catch up to them. Is that Archon Loaf? Why is it Archon Loaf? Alphino has a mind to join the others at the High Crucible. The attendant was kind enough to give me directions to the High Crucible. First, let us return to the mulberry orchard. First things first, I want to collect all the Ethernet crystals. So from here, we need to go this way, up here, and over here. They already said the Etherite has been disabled, so we can't actually get that one, but we can get the Ethernet crystals, though. Oh, looks like we can get the Etherite. I figured we weren't going to be able to. Yeah, this one is disabled, so my guess it's only accessible to those that are level 90 right now, which shocks me that there are people that are level 90. Then again, they could be level 85 too. I am sorry for the yawn. Jesus Christ. That was not good. Alright, that takes care of the Ethernet here. From here, we're supposed to follow the path left and past the mulberries. Where the street turns, enter the door straight ahead, then descend the steps. I thought the Crystarium was confusing, but it doesn't compare to Razadhan. The architecture and decorations make it even harder to get your bearings. Anyway, let's see where this door takes us. And here's the Etherite Plaza. So far, so good, and there isn't much further to go. From here, we just need to cross the other side of the hall, then pass through the larger of two doorways. The High Crucible lies beyond. I suspect the others have already collected the warning scales. Come, let us join them. Whoa, check this out. My guess this is where the level 90 gear is gonna be at when we get to the end. We're last, of course, but at least we found the place.
These are the talismans we were promised.
Oops.
Yes, and I made a quick count. There are far more than we could have hoped for. Enough to outfit an entire company of soldiers, in fact. Considering the involved process, that they were able to manufacture so many in such a short span of time is nothing short of a miracle.
Once we have distributed them to our allies in Eorzea and the Far East, we'll have a fighting chance to bring down the other spires, just as we did with the Tower of Zot.
Or we could use them to invade Garlemald proper, and strike directly at the Talismans' base of operations. Of course, we would need to consult with various Alliance leaders before such a drastic measure could even be contemplated. To which end, I could set out forthwith and present the idea to each of our allies in person.
Pray allow me to undertake some few of those journeys. I find myself restless and in need of purposeful duties.
I can head eastward. Bosnia and Dalmasca are just a short hop from here. And Doma's shinobi network should come in handy for passing on the word.
We shall share the burden then. Meanwhile, I think it best that you and the others take the talismans back to the Baldessian Annex. We must keep them safe and secure until we've decided upon a course of action.
Please, I must speak with you.
Nidana, you're awake.
Yes. When I spoke with the carer at my bedside, she told me that one of the scions, a young woman, had cleansed me of the tower's corruption. It seems I'd been asleep ever since the treatment. But when I awoke and learned you were all still here, I knew I had to come.
As you said, Nidana was captured only recently. Such a brief exposure is swiftly cured, so I tended to her before we gathered at Megaduta.
And I am truly grateful that you did. I cannot thank you enough. All of you, for everything you've done. Destroying the tower, rescuing our people. You've saved Thavnair from an awful fate.
Yet who hath truly saved whom? Due in no small part to thine inspirational courage, the alchemists were successful in reproducing warding scales of proven efficacy. Replications of thy work now stand ready to travel across the seas, unto the hands of those who might wield them against this rising evil.
The talisman? Is this true? Oh, I was so groggy from sleep. I didn't even think to ask. Oh, our great work sent across the seas. It was worth it. Oh, it was all worth it.
Look at that! Its color is completely changed.
What do you have there? How unusual. I wonder if the effect is a reaction to Akasha.
I'm afraid I'm not familiar with that term.
Akasha? It is one of the unseen energies defined by Harnish alchemical theory. Though a gross oversimplification, some describe it as an essence influenced by feelings.
You imply that it is distinct from ether?
As foreign scholars often conflate the two, but we see them as separate concepts. Ether is an energy which permeates the land. It exists within animals, objects, even the air we breathe, affecting all through which it flows. Akasha, on the other hand, exists in a domain beyond our reach. A gift bestowed from on high, or torn from the heavens in some traditions. Akasha can neither be created nor destroyed. It is beyond our power to purposefully alter or manipulate. The only thing observed to influence it is an abundance of, I want to say, spiritual emotion. As a veteran of the battlefield, surely you've experienced moments of desperation or exaltation when you've transcended the usual limits of your capabilities. That is a manifestation of Akasha, the invisible essence harnessed by heart, mind, and unyielding spirit.
I really must hear more about this theory. Our disciplines are based entirely upon the idea that ether is the fundamental form of all energy.
I'm glad my haphazard explanation has piqued your interest. But even for us, Akasha is a somewhat abstract field of study. A lack of practical application lends itself poorly to formalized research. Which is why my analysis of your flower can amount to little more than idle speculation. I am sorry.
Nonsense! You have nothing to be sorry for. Your insight is much appreciated.
Shall we depart for Charlian then? I will see to it that the talismans arrive at the Annex.
And we will be in touch once our talks are concluded. I suggest you rest while you can. From here onward, sleep is bound to be in short supply.
Alright, we gotta go back to Charlian now. I gotta also remember that I need to take a moment to go and feed the dogs, because if I don't, I will certainly overlook it. Because, yeah, I've been focusing on this game a lot. Whoop, right here. It's good to be back, and with the fruit of our labors safely in storage. For now, we have but to wait for the others to return from their respective meetings with the Alliance leaders. As Thancred suggested, you should get some rest in the meantime. Oh, seriously? I have to get rest now? Welcome back, Yami. Crowley surprised me of your recent accomplishments. What an amazing feat to eliminate a tower, and paved the way to deal with the rest. While it isn't much, I've changed your sheets and plumped up your pillow. After all, there's nothing like collapsing in a nice clean bed after completing a major milestone, be it penning a thesis or defeating deformed entities. So would you like to take a look at your new and improved lodgings now? Might as well. It changed back to normal.
Take heart and protect them well.
Hello, who's at the door? Oh, hi, guys.
Good, you're here. You haven't eaten yet, have you? We've bought quite a spread if you're interested. Only the finest dining from the last stand.
They came to eat a meal with me? Bruh. Ah, they're making the characters so more relatable now. He's got a boiga. He's got cheeseburger. Of course she doesn't like pickles. Of course she doesn't. Yes. I absolutely love this.
We invited Estinian as well. But he refused with a rather grim-faced, "No, thank you." I suspect Charlian cuisine is not to his liking.
Oh, I don't know about
Pizza! They have cheeseburgers and pizza in this world. Bruh.
What? To perfect his brooding stare? Next time, I'll drag him out by the ear, sit him down in front of a Charlian feast, and see that he eats every last bite.
You go, Alize.
An excellent idea. Of all people, warriors must take proper meals and rest if they are to maintain a healthy constitution.
Poor Estinian, beset on all sides.
Graha is literally devouring this burger.
Condition, Mistress Cryle, I hear you recently played literal host to Heidelin herself.
And what an experience that was. Tiring, yes, but no lasting harm done. If anything, I should have liked to speak with her longer. I've not felt a hint of her presence since.
Heidelin instructed you to carry that flower, yes? 'Twill be your guide, test and proof of your conviction. And then something about seeking joy in darkness, was it? Come to think of it, isn't that what happened with Nidana back in Radzat-Han?
The flower did seem to radiate a joyful glow, as if reflecting the elation we all felt, the relief of a people with renewed hope.
Indeed, and in turn, I felt buoyed by that radiance. 'Twas akin to spotting a beacon and knowing we were on the right path. I know we've not yet triumphed over the Taloforoi, or learned the full breadth of the Forum's plans. But even within the midst of our struggles, we find small moments of joy to sustain us. Rare and hard-won perhaps, but it is this pursuit of happiness that gives us the strength to carry on day after day. Hey, that's mine.
To the swift the spoils. Though I recall that levitation spell of yours was quick enough.
Only barely. And even at my best, I'm still too slow to wield it effectively in battle. Mayhap I simply require more practice with this new magic.
You unearthed it from the depths of Numenon, I presume?
Aye, and from a veritable mountain of arcane tomes at that. 'Twas necessary to facilitate my solitary explorations.
Or, to put it simply, you used it to sneak around the Forbidden Archives.
Yes, well, after a fashion. They're tall, you see. The shelves, they're too tall for me. And I could hardly move the library's platforms without attracting attention now, could I?
He's a short boy. He's a short guy. Oh, that's adorable. Graha never changed. That's adorable. Are you pushing on until dawn?
I'm not that ambitious. But 'tis pleasant to idle away the hours every once in a while.
The flower turned green! It's green! Oh god. This guy. Well, this bitch! Yeah, and Fan Daniel too.
Enjoying the bracing cold, I see. Do you not own a warm coat or a cloak? Something in fur? Or fashioned from the skins of your enemies? Or... well, never mind that. I come to you once more as the bearer of bad news. Our tower in Thavnir has been toppled, and I need not tell you by whom. Given how many we have at our disposal, the loss of a single spire is hardly fatal to our plans. It does, however, slow the rate at which we siphon the ether. If they continue to preoccupy themselves with the towers, then all will be well. But should our foe prove bold enough to strike at us here, then the timing becomes questionable.
Our foe is bold enough. Of that, I can assure you.
Yes, very well then. I suppose I must prepare a proper welcome. Honestly, talk of your nemesis is the only thing you seem to enjoy. Does nothing else spark your interest?
No. All else is... equal. Equally tedious. Equally disappointing. The world is a tepid bog into which we sink, too weak to thrash as the mud clings to our eyes and fills our throats till we blissfully choke. But then came the light, blinding and pure and hot, so very hot, enough to set my soul aflame. I basked in the afterglow until the void yawned once more, and then I knew the muck would never claim me again. There was naught for me ahead, so I drew the curtain on all that had come before. Burn. Burn. Let the whole star burn. I will have my contest. I will reclaim my moment.
How wonderful that the emptiness of death has not dissuaded you from committing your life to its pursuit once more. I don't know whether to envy you or pity you.
You question my disinterest, but what of yours? Despite your noisome antics, I sense you take little pleasure in this endeavor.
Mercy, my lord. Such pointed barbs from one who barely acknowledges my existence. Nevertheless, you are mistaken. For I do find this part somewhat enjoyable. You see, when I was mortal, I would always have the same dream. It was a fragmented thing, disjointed, all the faces incomplete. The setting, too, was unknown to me, so I thought it simply a fantasy of my sleeping mind. Until one day, I realized it was showing me the truth. Much as your dream of the final days enlightened you. And soon, very soon, the rest of the world will see the truth of my dream, too. Yes, I think that is something we can both enjoy.
All right. There. Sound the bell. School's in. Kral and Grahatir were having a pleasant conversation until you barged in. Bruh. Wait. I still didn't get the necklace. There's a level 83 quest, but it's not accessible. Hang on a minute. Let me warp over there and see why. Associate Guild ship hunts will be available once you have fulfilled certain conditions within the main scenario quest for Endwalker. Okay. But I still didn't see a quest for the necklace piece. Maybe it's in Labyrinthos. It is, because there's 4 quests right there. Okay, I need to backtrack a bit. We're backtracking! Also, that reminds me, how many ether currents have I found in each area so far? I've only found 2? I found 4 in Thavnir already. $455 yalms north, which is this way. Northwest. Is it down there? Must be. Yep, there it is. No! Directly west from here. And there's the necklace. Might you have some time to spare for an old researcher, lad? Physical labor doesn't come to me as easily as it once did, and I'm in search of someone a bit more spry to assist me. The task is a simple one, rest assured. You need only plant these experimental seeds in nearby fields. You'll be compensated for your troubles, of course. No special skills are required of you. If you planted one seed, you've planted most of them. Well then, I look forward to seeing what you can do. Grab all of these side quests. This one's probably a... Yep, it's a multi-step one. My sweet shackles, one of the Archeon's precious samples has fled. You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? My apologies. I'm Nevotia, an archivist. The Archeon is home to various samples collected from all across the star, and one such specimen has just escaped. A young troll, to be specific. Oh, I hope he hasn't been set upon by the local predators. Listen, I promise to compensate you, so could you please help me retrieve the specimen? My thanks. I'll continue my search of this area. I'd like you to check the 33rd facet. Once you've had a comprehensive look about, please meet me at the Archeon to report your findings. Sir, I seem to be in a bit of a bind, and I was wondering if you might lend your aid to remedy the plight of a struggling student. Oh, of course, introductions. I am Parbolo, from the studium, where my research involves the finer points of bacteria and fungi. I'm here to harvest mushrooms from labyrinthos for my experiments, but I'm afraid I may be in over my head. You see, the mushrooms are located in the 33rd facet, but that shaft is positively swarming with things I could scarce stand to look at, let alone face to combat. It isn't uncommon for members of the studium to request help from the more martially inclined, and so here I am before you. Will you procure the mushrooms for me? I would forever be in your debt. Oh, thank you, good sir. Well then, the sample number for my plot is 316. The mushrooms stand out among the others with red caps in a distinctive triangle shape. Just in case, however, I do have this illustration. I understand all too well the impulse to become lost gazing at the fungi. Perhaps this will help keep you on track. If you find the sheer variety of mushrooms to be overwhelming, then simply consult the picture and it should put you back on track. Plant these seeds. Get my piece of gear. that takes care of that. Slightly flushed, are you? Good. I take it that means you've planted the seeds. You have my thanks, and if all goes to plan, the realm's all swell. You see, my research involves the production of nutrient-rich plants that can be harvested in greater numbers than any we have seen thus far. However, even the most extraordinary crop is useless if they cannot be planted and raised by the common man. I've long made use of use a priority when I develop new seeds, asking everyone from experienced researchers to eager children to plant them in the earth and then comparing results. But of course, I'm sure you've had more than enough long-winded explanations of your journeys to last a lifetime. Take this reward for your contribution and take satisfaction in a job well done. Thank you! There. Now I feel more at ease with myself. Couldn't even see it. But there is one thing I'm going to do, is hide the headgear for a bit, because, yeah, that's clipping through my character's hair. May as well burn through these other quests right quickly. Hopefully this one isn't going to be a multi-step one where it's like more than one thing, because I would like to progress with the story, but if it is, I'll just suck it up and just do it. Oh, hello. Was there something you're needing? I have a sack of fruit for you. Oh, what specimen, so plump and fragrant. You said you came all the way from Merrill Agronomics for making the trek. It would have been a shame to see these go to waste. Sometimes the cattle here are so temperamental that I quite forget my other obligations. Ruba must be cross with me. This isn't the first time I've accidentally shirked my appointments with him. I must give him something by way of apology. Perhaps cheese will do the trick. As you well know, we at Untitled pride ourselves on our research into the various methods of animal husbandry and fermentation used throughout the realm, and this cheese is our latest masterpiece. It came about in no small part thanks to the fruit you just delivered. We feed it to our cattle, and it is the main contributor to the cheese's heavenly fragrance. If it's not too much trouble, could you deliver this wheel to Rubra? Cheese! It's a tomato. No fruit, I see. I trust you delivered it without incident. You didn't eat it, did you? This is the golden cheese. The legends say only the masters of Rurlit knew the secret of his creation. I never thought I'd lay my eyes on a single slice, let alone a whole wheel. If I receive one of these each time Citylane forgets her obligations, then she can be as absent-minded as she pleases. What does it taste like, I wonder? Will it live up to the tall tales? Oh, my apologies. I do tend to get carried away when it comes to cheese. Anyway, thank you for your assistance, and take this for your time. I will share this cheese with you, but... Man, I don't want no cheese. Give me the money. No! Slime! Let's see here. Red tombstone, red mushrooms. Those are blue. Well, that looks like what we need, but. But this picture specifically shows 3 mushrooms. So that one's not it. That's not it, so it's the one on the other side. There it is. These mushrooms match the illustration in your hands. Your long search is over. You see no trolls, great or small, perhaps a bit further in. The errant troll is nowhere to be seen. Nilutia may have had better luck. Wait a minute, did I go past it? No, I didn't. Ow! You, on the other hand, I will kill. Alright, now we backtrack. Wait a minute, how do I get out of here? This way. Ha! That's 3 summoners I done come across. Excellent work. With this, I shall continue my research into the techniques of Nagsha, skilled fighters, and farmers both. I recently acquired texts from their homeland that go into some detail about their agriculture. Did you know they mix bat droppings in the soil to make it more fertile? Quite ingenious. The land they live in is quite temperate, and it is writ that after 100 summers, the droppings solidify into something resembling stone, further concentrating the nutrients contained within. Of course, the samples you provided me today are far too ripe to be of much use on their own. However, what is the purpose of research if not to free us from the bounds of the natural world? What's that? Of course, I'm sure I said that the droppings resemble mud, didn't I? Regardless, I aim to speed up the ripening process, creating in days what takes nature centuries to accomplish. If I succeed, farmers across the realm will rejoice, and they will have you to thank for it. Well, I can see by the dirt on your boots that you did some manner of digging. Were you able to find my sample? Ah, yes, these match my illustration exactly. Think the 12 of the brave of heart still walk this realm. Do you have any interest in fungi yourself? These were developed from the spores of the elf stool, which can only be found in the Aurum Vale. A rare mushroom, but these are superior in every way. For one, they are much less inclined to kill you. A vast improvement by any measure of the world. Of course, I've had my failures, but the less said about those the better. What matters is now, and the revolution sample 316 is sure to herald. Okay, now we teleport back over here. I see, I wasn't able to find a specimen either. However, I did meet someone who claimed to have seen it in Mournvale Forest. Let us head there and see if we can track it down. Yes, there can be no doubt. These are Shaggle's footprints. I have uncovered the sustenance trail. It should be close. If you find it under threat from the local fauna, you may dispatch its assailants. What? I heard a fat chocobo. It's a cutscene. He's cute. Oh, I'm so glad you're unharmed. You're all safe now. Come on, let's go home, sweetie. What? Did it? The Archeon is under threat. I must do something. You could talk? You can understand me? He has no idea. Wait, are you able to communicate with him? Incredible, I've never met someone with such a skill before. This bundle of joy was born in Labyrinthos. However, he was abandoned by his mother and in quite the state by the time we found him. He possesses remarkable intelligence for one of his kind. We've elected to use him as part of a study into the effects of growing up in an artificial environment. I had seen him making gestures that indicated he'd been reading the tombs here, but I thought he was just copying those around him. I think he actually understands speech. Though I do wonder exactly why you are able to understand him, and I am not. I'm sort of special. Really? Oh, what I wouldn't give to understand him, too. You possess the echo, don't you? I find it difficult to understand the way your kind do, but I suppose it makes sense that you understand my general sentiments. I happen to learn of said power from the tomes in the Archeon. Honestly, that buffoon over there is surrounded by a sea of knowledge, and he makes no effort to engage with it. At any rate, I'm glad to finally have someone to talk to. As I was saying earlier, the Archeon is in grave danger. Some girlless gleaner managed to bring woodworms in with them during a visit. If we leave them be, they're bound to cause irreparable damage to the materials at the facility. I tried my best to tell that buffoon, but it was no use. That's why I took a chance and went in search of some of my kind to see if they would help. But you saw how that turned out. Well, what is he saying? Oh, dearie me. Still, it was most courageous of him to try and solve the issue on his own. Now that we're aware of it, we need to sort out this pest problem at once. Would you mind helping out a little longer? You're the only one who can understand him, after all, and he seems malms ahead of us with regard to the situation at hand. Unfortunately, I will not be able to do that right now. I want to focus a little bit more on the story, so I'll come back and work on this quest. I'll just pick it up and make sure that I keep it in my journal for right now. Allow me to explain a few things first. Staff at the Archeon regularly use alchemic pesticides to keep the place free of harmful germs. Unfortunately, the woodworm I found seemed to be entirely resistant to the type of pesticide employed at the facility. I skimmed a few tomes, including the new Eorzean Geographic, but I couldn't manage to identify the Vilekin in the Archeon. I'm guessing it must be a new species. We won't get very far if we know nothing about the enemy, so I went ahead and captured one of the woodworms. We could try showing it to someone who knows more about this sort of thing than I do. I see. In that case, I think we'd be best served by a biologist at Mariel Ergonomics, shall we? Okay, hide that for right now. Go back to Old Charlian. And I'm going to stop here for a second to go feed the dogs. That way I won't have to worry about it later. Alright, the dogs have been fed, and I have some food cooking in the microwave, so I will be having me my, well, technically it's almost lunchtime now, so brunch. Brunch instead of breakfast. In other news, I need to get me a new pair of slides because the sole is gone on my right foot, and that does not feel comfortable at all. Alright, now we talk to Cryo. Oh, there you are, feeling refreshed, I hope. I'm about to make my way to the studium as it happens. I wanted to try and speak with Scholar Montaigne and thank him for coming to our rescue in the Rostra. As it turns out, he'd come here to see us following the hearing, only to find that we'd already departed for Thavnair. Knowing him, he was probably hoping to chew the cud with his former students. Since we're still waiting for your Stoll and the others, I thought now the perfect time to pay him a visit. Care to join me? It is settled. The twins will be coming too, assuming Alphino can tear himself away from his new toys. I'll let you rally the troops while I go on ahead to Phenomenon. Considering my recent impropriety, perhaps I should avoid showing my face around the studium for a time. That might be for the best. If the others should return, tell them we will not be long. So, we're going to school. This is the time. The warrior of light goes to school. Heading out for a stroll. The Scholar himself was here. In that case, what are we waiting for? I too am eager to see him, though I somewhat dread the thought of visiting his studium. I dare say our notoriety precedes us. Alphino of all people worrying over his reputation, and at our alma mater no less. But wonders never cease. You'll understand soon enough. Off we go. I just realized I have yet to come across any training dummies anywhere. Here it is, Phenomenon. While I expect you may know of it before, one can hardly miss it. This is the first time you've been here on official business, correct? While most of the space is taken up by the expansive auditoriums, it also houses numerous laboratories, testing grounds for experimental magics, and a host of administrative offices and so forth. At the center of what would later become the studium, it is established to promote the study of etherological phenomena, hence the name. Though with ether being a fundamental aspect of nature, a scope expanded to include every conceivable facet of life and even the universe itself. And then, in the 432nd year of the 6th Astral Era, Phenomenon was decreed complete and the studium officially opened as a place of learning. With a long and storied history, it is without question the world's leading authority in etherology, the arcane, the occult, astronomancy, and countless other fields, standing proud as Charlene's foremost educational institute. You always did enjoy giving the grand tour to new students. Indeed, I've long since lost track of how many times he has recited that same thoughtless speech, such as his undying love for his old stamping ground. He was in top form back then, youngest to enter the studium, graduated with highest honors in magical arts and etherology, undisputed champion of the debating chamber. Hold on, you both joined the studium at the same age, yes, and for where I stand, you are equally prodigious scholars. Nice of you to say, but Alphino actually entered a half a year before me, nor did I do well enough to graduate with honors, and I am certainly not the studium's most notorious master debater. In all respects, have I ever been in his shadow? If nothing else, just remember that this was where the legend of Alphino Levieux began. We should expect everyone to be fully aware of our recent escapades. Hopefully we'll be somewhat more welcome here than we were at the last stand. I know better than anyone the adoration the student body has for Alphino, and with a bit of luck, it might work to our advantage. Well, there's no time like the present. First things first, let's look for Scholar Montaigne. Other faculty tend to frequent their offices, but fortunately for us, he's fond of wandering wheresoever his whims take him. Let's split up and ask the students if they've seen him. That was Alphino Olivia, wasn't it? The Alphino Olivia! And he's with his sister and Master Baldessine's granddaughter. This can only mean one thing. An event of epic strattering proportions is fast approaching. Spread the word! Oh, sorry, you said you're looking for the Scholar, yes? Knowing him, he could be anywhere, but Miss Alipo said should have a better idea. Alipo? Wait, Merchant Amender Script Exchange. Ah, it's a cousin to the other Alipo. Someone related to them, at least. Are you lost? Wandering off the street, perhaps? Wait, don't tell me you're a trainee gleaner fresh off the guild ship. I'm right, aren't I? Oh, how silly of me. An orientation is in order. Ahem. Allow me to bid you a warm welcome to Searcher's Meet. Let me start with a question. What is the most important thing you'll find in the studium? That's right, books. And what's the second most important? Why, that's simple. Everything else. That's what we deal in here at the Searcher's Meet. Whenever the students or tutors find themselves in need of equipment or materials, they come to us. If we don't have it in our stores, we send the gleaners off to find it. Honestly, you wouldn't believe some of the requests we get. Eye of Paisa this, Tongue of Giganto that. It's enough to make your hair stand on end, which is possibly what some of our students are trying to accomplish, this being a school of magic and all. As our newest gleaner, you'll have your work cut out for you, but I think you'll find it quite rewarding. I'm not a gleaner. The only thing I'm interested in gleaning is information on the Scholar's whereabouts. I beg your pudding, you're not a gleaner. This was all an elaborate ruse. No, wait, come think of it, you never actually claimed to be one in the first place. My mistake. He was here, but now he's not. I did speak with him shortly before you arrived, though. He said he was on his way to Maker's Meet. Go back the way you came in, and you'll see it on the opposite side of the entrance. It's a laboratory of sorts, home to many rare and expensive curios, not to mention alarmingly frequent accidents. If you lose your way, just follow the blood-curdling screams. Well, that's reassuring. Ha! In the time it's taken me to tell you all of this, the Scholar has probably already left. Best of luck finding him. I have a feeling you'll need it. Yes, the Scholar was here a short while ago. He offered me advice on my current research project. Though we spoke at length, I don't recall him mentioning where he was planning to go next. When we parted ways, he went down the corridor, perhaps to one of the auditoriums? Go check on my food in a second. Ah, there he is. Go check on my food. I know it's not ready, but still. Okay. Food is cooking again.
remember you.
Oops.
I pray we have not caught you at an inopportune moment. We wanted to offer our thanks for your kind words in the forum.
Well, I could hardly let that Inquisition go unchallenged. I've always believed that curiosity should be nurtured, not stifled. Thankfully, a majority of my colleagues agreed. A slender majority, aye, but a majority nonetheless.
Had the vote not gone our way, we would be having a very different conversation, if any at all. Though I'd like to think you would have not given up on our cause. I'm told you paid a visit to the Annex afterwards.
Yes, that's right. I was hoping to speak with the grandchildren of my dearly departed friends Galuf and Louisoix in a less dour setting. But it seems I just missed you. I still can't believe how much you've grown. If only your grandsires could have seen the way you presented yourselves to the Forum. Why, it fair brought a tear to my own eye. You must have the patience of a saint, putting up with this lot and their antics. Never mind Montoya's prize student. Luckily, I know a thing or two about managing unruly younglings. If you ever need advice, don't hesitate to ask.
If I may, there is a rather more pressing matter we wish to discuss. What can you tell us of this duty that the Forum must fulfill?
Nothing, I'm afraid. Like all humble servants of the Forum, I am sworn to secrecy. Or rather, I couldn't tell you if I tried. Our duty is of the gravest importance. Furthermore, if the particulars were made public, it would incite widespread panic. As such, those entrusted with this duty have been bound by an enchantment, which prevents us from speaking of such matters without the express permission of the Forum.
How is that even possible?
It's been some time since I last gave a lecture. Please, take a seat. We shall begin by reviewing the fundamentals of Etherology. The ether, which imbues us with life, can be categorized into three forms. Two are of the incorporeal sort, the soul and the memory. Can anyone tell me the third? Yes, very good. This is the form with which the layman is most familiar. Consumed by even the simplest of daily activities, and replenished by the food and drink that sustain us, this form of ether is in constant flux. In contrast, the ether that comprises the soul is rarely subject to dramatic change. The same can be said for memory, as the two are intrinsically linked. Picture the soul as paper, and memories as words written upon it. Now, what would happen if that paper was doused with ink? The same type of ether as comprises the memories.
It would blot out everything that was written.
Precisely. We would be unable to recall the memories, and any activities that depend upon them would be hindered as well. In fact, this exact phenomenon was observed on a vast scale not so long ago. And what might that have been?
The 7th Umbral Calamity. The people of Eorzea vividly recall Bahamut breaking free of the Lesser Moon and raining hellfire down upon the realm. But no one could seem to remember the events that followed immediately afterwards.
You know, he's right about that.
To this day, we have yet to determine whether it was an unintended consequence or a deliberate act. The enchantment which binds me and the rest of the Forum is based on a similar principle. And yes, it is a contravention of the Sharlayan prohibition against the practice of memory manipulation. Only when a new member is inducted and told of our great duty are they subjected to the process. A necessary evil. You have my word that it would never be used to manipulate the populace?
I should hope not. But can this enchantment be dispelled and your memories restored?
If 9/10 of our members give their approval, then the process may be reversed. Then, and only then, would we be able to speak freely to others of our sacred duty. Barring that, we must wait until we return to the ethereal sea. For there we will be purified, the blots upon our souls washed clean. And our memories drift apart and dissolve. Rather defeating the purpose, I suppose. But there are those memories that are indelibly etched upon our souls, some believe.
What happens after that?
We are reduced to pure ether, coalesce with that of others, and create souls anew. Alternative schools of thought assert souls remain whole and return to the corporeal world, reborn into another form. Both theories have their proponents. Personally, I consider each equally probable. Well, I think that's enough education for today, now that I've given you some food for thought. Or rather, an entire banquet. I would remind you that although I'm unable to assist you with certain matters, the resources at my disposal may still be of use to you. I'll arrange for you all to be given the run of Phenomenon. of course, as associate to our alumni and the students of Baldessian. This privilege is extended to you as well, my friend. Oh, and I suggest you speak with Ki Aliapo. She's well known among the artisans of Sharlayan, and her network of contacts may prove useful in your search for knowledge. I wish you all the best in your pursuits, wheresoever they may take you.
You have been granted the runner phenomenon. If you are game, Ki Alipo would put your artisanry to good. We have a new weapon! And it looks like... Oh, it's the, what's it called? It's the one that I got glamored on my, it's this one. Only it's black and white instead of black and red. Okay, my food should be done. So I'll, let me step away right quick. Okay, now my food can just sit there and cool down for a little bit. Alright, Alfino. Cryle is still, Cryle is still digesting a rather hefty portion of food for thought. Well, that's giving me much to mull over. I feel as though we're one step closer to understanding the form's true motives, and the mysteries of life itself for good measure. It's funny, I came here with the intent of expressing my gratitude, only to leave more indebted than before. I have a feeling his friendship and support will be a great boon to us in days to come. And on that note, let's head back to the Annex. Perhaps on the way, you could better acquaint yourself with Ki Alipo as the scholar suggested, while I share our findings with Raha. I don't think I'm actually able to talk to her. Yeah, that's land, Disciples of Land and Hand stuff, which I do absolutely nothing with. Ooh, side quests. Lots of side quests. Oh, my love, my light, where have you gone? I am nothing without you. Oh, I didn't see you there, absorbed as I am in my search. I've lost track of my mammoth, you see, a key asset for my research into the many mysteries of Ether. I must have given her an erroneous command, or perhaps even jilted her. She is gifted with such a sensitive heart, you know. In any case, it has been some time since she has left for a task. Please, can you assist me? Oh, thank you, thank you. I sent her on an errand near the last stand, so you would do well to begin your search there. Her aura is unmistakable. Keep an eye out for her elegant figure and imperious demeanor. That doesn't tell me anything. Foul! Ah, you look to be the sort who's out and about, performing various feats of daring do and so forth. Why, the scent of the outdoors is practically wafting from you. Perhaps you've heard of the competition being held in the city. Designers from across the region submit designs for academic uniforms, and the winner will be worn by none other than the members of the forum. The chosen designer becomes exalted among their peers. Even a lowly student can have their name said in hushed whispers across the studio. I would have such fame for myself. I believe my concept might be just the thing to help me win it. I have an image in mind of a rustic scholar, one who enjoys the open-air wilderness as much as the musty air of the library stacks. In fact, I have already prepared an initial design that looks to fit your frame perfectly. Would you try it on for me, that I might see if it conveys the message I have in mind? Sure. Splendid, splendid. Well then, we should find an area where you'll be free to move as you please. I believe tranquility should be the locale we require. Come, come! You there, from some distant and exotic land, yes? I require a fresh perspective for the next step in my research. You have a few moments to spare. Do not worry, nothing too complex will be required of you. I am planning an introductory class that will educate younglings on the practical applications of etheric energy, and I'll seek opinions on the lesson plan. With any luck, it shall strike a spark which ignites a lifelong love of learning and curiosity. Considering my lofty goals, I welcome honest feedback, even if it isn't entirely positive. Will you help? Thank you, my elegant student. Together, I dare say, we are building the future. Pray visit my colleague in Tranquility, a burly Rogadin fellow. His imposing frame belies a brilliant mind. Wait a minute. This way. By the looks of you, you are more inclined to adventuring than the average person, yes? Apologies for the imposition, but could you tell me if you've come across a creature such as one before me on your journeys? Isn't that the badger? Oh my, there it goes! I had no idea that it could move so quickly. Apologies for giving you a fright. The thing was recently delivered to the door of my professor, although the reason why yet eludes us. Perhaps one of the gleaners sent it to us, thinking it wouldn't make a suitable research subject. I've never seen the likes of it, but it made an awful mess of our facilities. I had hoped the fresh air might calm it down, but... that creature's more dangerous than you could imagine. Dangerous? If everyone is supposing as you so, then it must be true, and I let it escape. If word of my oversight gets out, my professor will tan my hide. I may even be forced to delay my studies by a whole year. I must find that creature at once. We need to cover as much ground as possible. Could you aid me in finding it before this day becomes a catastrophe? Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Well then, it appears to have run off towards Archon's design. I wish you good luck in the search. Ah, I've seen you around Numenon as of late. You're the inventor, yes? I'm meaning to seek you out. I believe you have a task rather suited to your abilities. We recently added a set of volumes procured from the Great Gubal Library to your collection, but no sooner did we set them in the stacks than it did a student handle them without taking the proper precautions. A spell was activated that apparently was meant to prevent their theft, causing all 5 of them to go scurrying, yes, scurrying, off to gods know where. They are quite ornery in their current state, and I'm afraid few of us are suited for combat. For you, however, a book should be a simple enemy to best if it comes to that. As I said before, 5 volumes are skulking around at present. I prepared a solution that should calm their rage somewhat, but they may require a few knocks on the spine before you can carry them safely. Would you be so kind as to collect them for us? Thank you, and Godspeed. The book is fast asleep. Judging from the cover, it contains stories of a Banga handmaiden in her lands. On the back cover, it's written restricted. You spy an envelope on the ground, covered in ash. Upon closer inspection, you realize that the ash spells out a message. To the kind soul who finds this missive, pray deliver this letter to the unassuming Mikote scholar who could usually be found sequestered in a quiet corner of the confluence. Many thanks. This appears to be a suitable spot. Spacious, sunlight. Now try the robes on for size, although I'm somewhat certain they'll fit perfectly. However, I like to see how easy it is for you to perform feats of heroism, swinging your weapon up and down, grinning devilishly, things like that. Show me that battle stance your adventures are so famous for. You will change into professional robes temporarily. You must stay clothed in the robes in order to progress. If the robes are removed or you wish to wear them longer, speak with the Lala fellow suitor. Not bad. Ah, yes, you look ready for a grand adventure under the sun. I believe these robes shall be well suited to both the lectern and the open fields. I'd like to touch the fabric's breathability. Work up a bit of a sweat for me. A friend of mine needs delivery done, and who better than you to do it? Please bring this crate here to Kekimo at the compliments. There's a bit of a trek, but you look up to the task. Confluence. Where is that? Fast fashion. I'm using up my time. A member of the forum here. I mean, welcome to my humble laboratory. What did you need, sir? Oh, you gave me quite the fright. You should be more aware of the effect that such robes have on the people here, students and professors alike. Of course, I'll accept these crystals most gladly. That being said, pray inform the student who gave them to you that she should do her own work from now on, regardless of what experiments she may be conducting. Oh, okay. Welcome back, my adventurous assistant. I take it the crystals were delivered without incident? I see, Gekamo can scarcely get through a single conversation without giving her unwanted advice. No matter, when my robes are chosen, I wager she'll treat me with the respect I deserve. You don't appear to be flushed, so I take it the robes were light enough to allow somewhat physically taxing duties. However, I would like to examine them close for any signs of wear. Could you return them to me? Thank you. My masterpiece draws one step closer to perfection. Functionally, it appears that I'm on the right track. Now I must refine the design so that when the members of the forum behold it, they can think of nothing else but to wear them for years to come. Of course, I didn't mean to leave your coin purse empty after all of this. Return to where we first met, and I shall bring your reward. Ah, you must be the help Pastor Marat sent word about. Are you ready to begin your education? Firstly, observe the object next to me. No mere rock. It is an experimental apparatus designed to stimulate the movement of ether through the environment. Through it, I intend to demonstrate how crystals are formed. Now, the next order of today is to use this explosive to destroy the device. Do not be afraid. Your extremities are safe, I assure you. Very good, very good. Did you enjoy yourself, little one? Now you have your very own crystal. Ether flows all around us, an invisible energy that nourishes all things. When a physical object so suffused with ether is destroyed, it releases the energy contained within it into its surroundings. Some returns to the environment, but some remains in the physical form. Thus are crystals formed. In simple terms, they are the physical manifestation of ether frozen in time. Simple enough to understand, yes? I've heard these words before, but never in that order. Ah, is that so? Any Charlie and youngling could recite those facts from memory. However, I may not always have the luxury of teaching such cultivated minds as today has demonstrated. Yes, we must be more thorough with our explanations. So thorough that even the unlearned would have no trouble understanding them. Thank you for your frank opinion. Sometimes an outside point of view can illuminate otherwise unseen faults. You have given us much to consider. As for the matter of compensation, my colleague is in charge of that. Please return to him to receive it. Ah. Yes, were you looking for me? I suspect I spent too much time in this corner of the confluence if someone I've never met knows to find me here. A letter, if you don't mind me asking, can you tell me where you found this? Of course, I see. The place where you chanced upon this is one of dubious prominence. Students are confined there as punishment for recalcitrant behavior. I believe I recognize the hand which penned this message. The student is an acquaintance of mine, although that might be a rather generous term. Several days ago he was confined there for concocting an explosive chemical compound and using it to surprise the teachers. His little straw ended with half the gardens in the teachers' quarters in ashes. It seems he put more effort into writing a message to his would-be courier than to his letter's recipient. Bring me food and a candle. I see. That boorish lout, it serves him right being locked up in that room. As you doubtless surmise, our relationship is somewhat strained, and I apologize for making you party to it, but what's done is done, and now I would ask a favor of you myself. Could you procure a candle from Toffwib at the Agora? I shall prepare the food this fool has requested, much as I would rather not. When you are done, pray meet me at the spot where you found the letter. A candle, you say? Why, of course. Here, take this. Please inform the requesting student that they can pay at their leisure. Oop, there it is. This seems to be the creature you are looking for. When you attempt to pick it up, it squeals harshly, but it seems more than willing to follow behind you. It's accompanying me. Wow. Oh, there you are. You found the creatures? Strange, so did I. Oh no, there's two of them. I could have sworn there was only one in the crate. Perhaps I was mistaken. Well, what harm could another do? All the more for us to study. I very nearly feared I would be a lowly student for yet another year. The outside world calls for my genius, and next to you, it shall have it. And we shall never see that Lullafell again. Ooh, hiccups. Jesus. Apologies that I could not give you more than this, but you understand that the life of a student is one of luxury. When my name is heralded through the stall halls of the studium, however, I'll be certain to share with you the windfall that will surely come my way. Until then... Ah, there's my bushy-tailed student. Was the experiment to your liking? Children are ever so fond of explosions. Your payment? Oh yes, of course. Besides whatever knowledge you gain today, free of charge, mind you, take this. And of course, you're always welcome to join us after I've revised my lesson plan. Oh. Just had to check. That name didn't look familiar. I mean, they're a friend of mine, but it didn't look familiar. Unless they changed their name recently. Wait, I'm heading away from one I can go ahead and turn in. Did you manage to collect the books? I hope they didn't have you running about for too long. Ah yes, this is all of them. Thank you, adventurer. These were quite the precious finds. It would have been a shame if they jumped off a cliff or somewhere else equally as precarious. I see among them was a restricted tome. I'll have a word with the student whose recklessness caused this whole incident. Although he has been chastised plenty already, you can be sure. Unfortunately, this incident is the first of its kind. Books protected by this manner of ward must only be handled with gloves, woven from the same self-same grass I used to make this sleeping powder. If we don't take such measures, the books will crumble from age and the elements within a few generations. It's one of the very first lessons we teach students, but there's one almost every year who fails to listen. There you are. Were you able to acquire the candle? Yes, this shall do. Once again, I must apologize for sending you to and fro, but the sooner this matter is concluded, the better off we both shall be. Tell us, you are from a foreign land, you are unaware of what this candle represents. There's a reason that scoundrel requested a candle of this type. Long ago, one of the students confined with these rooms spent his days unraveling some of the most troublesome mathematical problems of the time. With nothing to distract his attention, he was quite successful. He wrote the equations on his wall with the blackened ends of his spent candles. When the professors saw what he had done, they were too impressed to be angry. Doubtless that idiot means to make his own mark, as many delinquent students have attempted to since. The professor will turn a blind eye to his vandalism, to be sure. They would not let rules impede discovery. Any road, I will deliver these to him. Perhaps some good can come of his selfish request. Here, take this for your troubles. I pray there are no more. It's an Alfino mammoth! You see before you a mammoth most striking, and you see why its owner is so taken with it. Return it before you are unable to resist the compulsion to keep it for yourself. But I already have one! That was good food. I enjoyed that. Come back to me, my my queen. Come back to me. Oh, it's not Alfino. It's Alize. This is her, my enchanting mammoth, and not a single scratch upon her beautiful visage. Words cannot express how happy you've made me. I commissioned this masterpiece from a gleaner and had it modeled after the woman who had captured my heart from afar. With the aid of a tome written by Archtheus Quan, I constructed my own device to control it remotely. However, it seems there are yet some kinks to be hammered out. Alas, a heart in rapture is prone to such mistakes. Details are easy to overlook, but the whole world is your oyster. Let's clear my head and redouble my efforts. Thank you once again for your help today. We won't soon forget you. Ah, welcome back. From what I hear, your trip to the city proved most educational. While you were away, I received word from our fellow scions. As expected, news of the boarding sales was met with much joy. Preparations are now underway to bring the leadership of the Grand Company of Eorzea and the Eastern Alliance together to determine a way forward. My friends have asked that we bring the scales in our position to Limsa. So the time has come for us to go on the offensive? It's too early to say for certain, but it does seem to be the way the winds are blowing. I, for one, can think of no reason to oppose such a plan, but let us see what awaits us in Vilbrand. Let's start by getting the scales out of storage. Give me a hand, would you, Justinian? Phew, I didn't realize these crates were so heavy. I shouldn't complain, though. Vreetra and the alchemists of the great work put their heart and soul into each and every one of these scales, so you must treat them with the utmost care. Are you not coming with us? As much as I would like to escape the forum's watchful gaze, I have no choice but to stay behind. We're already on thin ice, and if I, in my capacity as our official representative, were found to be consorting with foreign powers, well, you can imagine how that would go. I shall remain here and do my utmost to avoid ruffling any more feathers, as I await a word from Master Tomoya and our other allies. With luck, we'll soon have good news of our own to share. The tide is about to turn. I can feel it. To Limsa. Oh dear. I was told to expect you. As you may or may not be aware, the Admiral is at present entertaining the Elder Caesar and the Sultana. Three of the most powerful women in the world in one room. Do you need a moment to prepare, or shall I show you to them? May as well go in. My apologies for calling you away from Charlene at such short notice. On the contrary, we are honored and grateful, and pleasantly surprised to be joined by such esteemed company. It was only right that this discussion be conducted in person. We are locked in a war of attrition, are forced to struggle to contain the threat posed by the towers, and it is only a matter of time before we are overwhelmed. Victory will only be claimed through decisive action. We have taken the initiative to set the wheels in motion. It is reassuring to learn we are all in accord. Might I ask what your plan entails? It hinges entirely on the boarding sails and our ability to utilize their potential to the fullest. During your time in Charlene, the allied nations have been engaged on separate fronts, with no end in sight. To make matters worse, a surge in abductions of kobolds, Sahagin, Ixal, and Ananta have given rise to an increasing number of primals as well, where the triumph in Radzahan has given us cause to hope once more. The time has come to free ourselves of this menace. It is you, the scions of the Seventh Dawn, who have shown us the way. While the bulk of our forces will continue to hold the Talifaroya at bay, we will dispatch our finest to strike at the enemy's heart, Garlemald. These brave few will be the Ilzabard contingent. To think such progress had been made in so short a span. His objectives are twofold. The first is to provide aid to the people of Garlemald. As previously reported, countless Imperial soldiers and civilians have been tempered. Robbed of their free will, they search to authorize every whim without question. They too are victims. It is our duty to deliver them from their suffering, not for strategic or political gain, but because it is the right thing to do. I do not ask that we set aside the decades of conflict and conquest, that we simply choose to forgive and forget. I ask only that in choosing to remember we do not also forsake our compassion and morality, for without that there can be no reconciliation, only death without end. Aye, on that we can all agree. Our second objective is the colossal tower that Thancred and Urianger observed in the capital. Though its purpose remains unclear, there's reason to believe the smaller spires are merely a precursor of what's yet to come. Until the Tower of Zot was toppled, we failed to make any headway. Though the same could be said of the Talismans. There's certainly no rush to press further into our lands. I'd wager the spire's primary purpose is to divide and keep us occupied, while they work towards our annihilation. This would appear to be substantiated by Yashtola's analysis of the tower's influence on ethereal current. Based on our observations inside the Tower of Zot, spires siphon ether from the land, consuming it to maintain their form. However, they draw forth far more than is required for this task alone. The excess of ether remains unaccounted for, but we can be sure it is not being harnessed for our benefit. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if it was being redirected to the larger spire in the capital. There's a logic at that. Regardless, once we have uncovered the truth, we'll bring their schemes crashing down, along with their infernal towers. That's all well and good, but what would you have us do? I assume it's more than handing over the scales and being on our way. We want you and your scales to join the Ilzabard contingent. Consider it an official request from both the Grand Company of Eorzea and the Eastern Alliance. Do you accept? Perhaps you should be the one to answer that. For honor and glory. Could have put it better myself. Y'shtola, Thancred, and Urianger have already pledged their support and are on their way to meet the rest of the contingent. They're positive you would come to the same decision as they did. Luckily for all involved, their prediction was correct. Once you have delivered the warding scales to Alamigo, the contingent will embark on its journey to Ilzabard. Raubon and Lord Emmerich are overseeing preparations, so I suggest you make yourself known upon arrival. Pack warm clothing, furs, and the like. Without it, the cold will do you in before the Talismans so much as draw steel. As for us, we'll keep the enemy busy while you're gone. They're not the only ones who can create a diversion. Now go, safe in the knowledge Eorzea will be as you left it, or better, upon your return. We're going to Golemald already? Raubon! There's no Raubon EXE, that's good. Ah, the Wanderer's return. He's been busy bringing down a tower and producing the keys to destroying the rest of them. You should be proud. Those boarding scales of yours are what's made this whole venture possible. Will you and Lord Emmerich be leading the contingent? Regrettably, no. Our role is to organize the various delegations to a cohesive unit. Once we have seen you all off, it's back to our respective posts. We dare not neglect our duties for too long, lest our defensive efforts fall into disarray. And just between us, there was a fair amount of opposition to the formation of Ilzabard contingent. The very suggestion that we send out some of our fighters' troops behind enemy lines to render aid unto the Guardians has made me rather unpopular in certain quarters. Can't please them all. Sadly not, though. I do my best. Truth be told, I'd much rather be at your side, charging into the fray. Alas, I've battles of my own to fight, where words may serve me better than any blade. I hate to say it, but Lord Emmerich's struggles mirror my own. For the time being, the best we can offer you is the peace of mind from knowing Eorzea is in safe hands. As you fight the good fight in Ilzabard, I and the other commanders will do what we can to convince the naysayers that our cause is just. Thank you, both of you. We meet again. Much has occurred since we parted ways at Whirlwind. From what I gather, the protective talismans we obtained led to the formation of this expeditionary force. My contribution on this occasion is but a minor one, I being the information I shared with Maxima. For the sake of the people of Golemald, may the fates be on your side. So you're not coming with us. Strange, I thought you'd have a stake in this. I do. The Talismans have laid waste to my homeland and enslaved my people. But though every mode of my being cries for vengeance, I cannot be the one to deliver it. My presence alone would place the entire mission in jeopardy. I stand accused of murdering Emperor Varus and plunging Calamity into the chaos. Were I to travel with the Ilsabard contingent, it will give my countrymen ample cause to question our motives. Conversely, those who believe me innocent may instead celebrate the return of a former legatus and attempt to raise me to a position of leadership, further destabilizing the region and complicating the contingent's mission. Whether I am branded a villain or hailed as a hero, I would only hinder your efforts. We will deliver your people from harm in your stead. For what it is worth, you have my gratitude. You and your comrades have the strength and courage to deliver my countrymen. I am certain of it. In light of Gaius' rather unique circumstance, I instead will assume the role of your guide. Though I may have defected for political reasons, my love for Garlemald endures. I will stop at nothing to protect her and her people. Well said. Might I ask you to escort our friends inside? You might even bump into an old acquaintance or two. If I don't see you again ere you depart, may the Fury guide and protect you. All of you. New chess piece. Let me get a good look at this. There's too many people. Not bad. I actually don't hate this. Alright then. Ooh, a present! The other members of the Ilsabard contingent are gathered in the royal palace. I shall inform them of your arrival, so please make your way inside as soon as you are ready. Ah, the remaining members of the Scions. Your friends and most of the Ilsabard contingent will await your return within. Would you like me to see you through? Yes, please. Oh, there is definitely voices in this one.
By the 12.
Whoa, that's a lot of people. Lise!
Glad you could join us. I hope you don't mind, but we went ahead and started without you.
As you can imagine, our traveling companions were eager to become acquainted. 'Tis a rare thing indeed to see such a diverse and talented group of individuals assembled for a single purpose. We fight not only for the sake of Eorzea, but for the entire world, including the people of Garlemald. Much rides on the efforts of the Ilsabard contingent.
Indeed, which is why I am glad to
Lucia.
find myself in the company of many trusted comrades, yourselves included.
Lucia.
I have come at the behest of Lord Emmerich, who has honored me with the role of Ishgard's representative. And for the good of all nations, not least my former homeland, I am determined to see this mission through to its end. We have a hard road ahead of us, but walk it we shall, together.
We too welcome this opportunity to work together once more. I have faith that, if there is a way to resolve this conflict, we will find it.
Allow me to introduce you to the rest of our company. Everyone! If I may have your attention.
Lala girls!
Might I ask you to speak first?
If I must, I am Arun Senna, spokesman for the Gridanian delegation, here on behalf of my esteemed sister, the Elder Seedseer. We shall provide support and protection to those in need during our time in Garlemald. To that end,
I am joined by healers selected by the Conjurers Guild, with the Order of the Twin Adder's Finest serving as our escort.
Suppose I'd better say my piece.
You again?
Wait, I know you.
The name's Sicard, in case you've forgotten. Truth be told, I'd rather you had forgotten. Any road, the Admiral asked Captain Hillfear to send his best, and for whatever reason, he picked me. Of course, if I'd refused, I'd be the laughingstock of the bloody executioners, and my reputation's taken enough of a keyhauling as it is. But more importantly, like any pirate worth his salt, I know when you're staring down a storm, you gotta trust in the commander of your ship. So if the Admiral wants us to go to Garlemald, not for plunder and glory, but the promise of peace in our time, then that's what we'll do. Since we all know how much the Empire loves its steel, we thought we'd bring along a few smiths to make the most of it. Give them a pile of scrap and they'll cobble together anything you fancy. Of course, just like the Gridanians, we got fighters of our own. We might have come with a more constructive purpose in mind, but we're more than capable of cracking skulls, believe you me.
Well, you're certainly raring to go. But then again, so are we. The most dependable warriors of Uldar and Alamigo have assembled at the Sultana and General Aldin's behest. If Garlemald has truly fallen, then the whole place is likely to be crawling with Telophoroi. We'll need plenty of troops to clear and hold a path for others to follow. That's where we come in. Naturally, Marshal Terrapin and I will be leading from the front.
It's been some time since I last saw you in your element on the battlefield.
From what I've heard, you've become pretty fearsome yourself. Master Matoya, the Avatar of Destruction.
Busted, you two!
With comrades like these, I know we'll succeed, no matter what awaits us. And then we might finally get a chance to enjoy a good long rest. But until then, let's give it our all.
As for Ishgard, we Temple Knights have come in force to uphold our nation's commitment to the peace and welfare of our allies. The bitter cold of Garlemald is a formidable enemy in of itself. Our experience fighting in ice and snow will prove invaluable in the days ahead. Accordingly, I have been designated commander of the Ilzabard contingent. I will do all in my power to provide you with the leadership and guidance you require. The four high houses, House Hylinart foremost among them, have arranged for a host of machinists to join us on our mission. Their knowledge of Imperial Magitech is sure to be a great boon. They will address any problems of a technical nature, together with the smiths of Limpsa Lomitsa. There is another awaiting introduction.
Lord Emanolain!
Ah, yes. Emanolain de Forton, at your service. Though, lest there be any misunderstanding, I should stress that I've not become a fearsome warrior while you were away. Rather, far from it, actually. My brother, in his infinite wisdom, decided this would be an excellent chance to make something of myself. Oh, and fight for world peace and all that. But, should the opportunity arise for a spot of ballroom dancing, I will be your twinkle-toed gentleman of light.
Brock, you have not changed! Grow up! May a graceful prancing lead the way to victory.
regale on Aurora with my tales of daring do.
I believe that concludes introductions for the Grand Company of Eorzea.
This guy has not changed. Bruh, why? Why is he here?
Would that be the shinobi of Doma?
Actually, they've been tasked with relaying messages back and forth between the various eastern nations. According to Lord Hien, however, an equally capable company of warriors has been sent in their stead.
Out of my way, you preening fool!
What? Hi guys!
Forgive us for coming late. We are the delegates of the Eastern Alliance.
Cyrena, and you've brought company.
For battle and blood we come, as the steppe is sorely lacking in both. No towers befoul our lands, so we marched on those of Doma, only to find them beyond our reach. But now our thirst for slaughter will be slaked. No quarter to the enemy! Sadu Hatun, no. We go to make peace with the Iron Men, not war.
Warriors of the Steppe, we've heard many tales of your bravery. We welcome you as allies. And these other ones you have brought are...
Members of the Dalmascan resistance group, Lente's Tears.
And the Bosnian resistance. Between them, they have a wealth of experience in espionage, and are particularly adept at infiltrating Imperial facilities. Which is fortuitous, since Garlemald's domain is so vast that I could never hope to handle reconnaissance duties all by myself.
Dalmasca, Bosnia, Alamigo. All lands which have suffered the tyranny of the Empire. I would never presume to question your motives. Nevertheless, I must reiterate that our goal is to aid the victims of the Telophoroi, the common folk of Garlemald. And they are victims, make no mistake. Though I understand that many may struggle to see them as such.
You're more right than you know. For every one of us that answered the call, there were a dozen that refused. Not only in Alamigo, but everywhere we went. And who could blame them? The Empire's always been the enemy. But after seeing what we've seen, fighting and working against and with Garleans, there's no denying the simple truth. They're just people. No different from you or I. They've got their share of liars and murderers, but so do we. So do we all. Fordola, who once swore herself to Garlemald, has proven herself a trusted ally time and time again. Every Eorzean here knows Cid Garland, the Imperial defector who shared with us countless technological wonders. Gaius bloody Baelsar himself is working to help rebuild Werlid, a nation he once conquered. So you can believe me when I say that every fighter here understands and accepts that the Imperials are not monsters and are deserving of help. Or at least that they were able to put aside their feelings for the greater good. It won't be easy, but we're all determined to make this world a better place.
What lingering concerns I may have had were clearly unwarranted. I agree with everything you said wholeheartedly.
Then we are in accord. Now, let us review our strategy. To reach the Garlean capital in northern Ilsabard, we must cross the central mountain range. Fortunately, Garlond Ironworks can provide aerial transport, sparing us this most treacherous part of our journey. However, attempting to fly any closer to Garlemald would attract the attention of the Talismans. As they appear to have seized control of the majority of the Imperial military, we must assume that includes its fleet. In addition, Garlemald possesses devices that can interfere with airship navigational systems, further discouraging an airborne approach.
Given the circumstances, the closest we dare deploy our contingent is an area between the range and the capital, the Magna Glaciers. From there, we must travel the rest of the way on foot. We will also need to bring the airships with us to ensure we can withdraw with haste. Although much of the terrain will be blanketed in snow, we should be able to make use of local roads and shipping facilities. The vast ice field will afford us an unobstructed view of the surrounding area. On the other hand, it will also allow others to easily spot us, so it is imperative that we only make camp in positions where we can easily defend ourselves. And the airships, which must be kept safe at all costs.
We cannot account for every possibility, so we must be prepared to think on our feet. We will be tested. Sorely tested, I expect. But for our homes and for our people, and a people not our own but in need, we will succeed. Spare no effort in your preparations. Once we depart, there is no turning back.
All right. Besides the delegates assembled here, the Yamalja and several other tribes offer to send troops of their own. Unfortunately, due to their physiology, many would struggle simply to survive in the harsh climate of Isildar. They would also likely prove tempting targets for adoption by the Talismans. All things considered, they could better aid the cause by bolstering the defenses in Eorzea, though their eagerness to do more has been noted. We shall have to suffice. Ere we embark, we must distribute the warding skills to our comrades. Care to do the honors? Yes. Warding scale for you. So these are the famed warding scales. Enough for me and my men, I see. Under normal circumstances, I would not be allowed to travel outside of the Closewood. The elder Seaseer, however, has granted me special permission. She has bid me lend my magics to the people of Garlemald while learning all I can of their ways. In so doing, I will come closer to understanding myself and my place in the world. So she says. I say it is past time my allies benefited from the power at the Seaseer's disposal. Some bemoan that we hide our light under a bushel, and I intend to address that criticism. I hear you got something for us. Ah, those scales everyone's been talking about. Pretty little things, ain't they? Reckon they'll be worth a gill or two when this is all over, but we'll hold on to them for now. And one more thing, I know what you're all thinking. Why didn't they say Eisenhower instead? Bucket if I know. Old the Admiral and Captain Hillford told me was they needed someone to help safeguard the future. And here I am. Can't say they have got a sense of humor. Of course, some of you might be wondering what good a pirate is on dry land, in the middle of the sudden snow of all places. Well, me and my crew do whatever needs doing, so let's set sail, wherever the saying goes on airships. Pippin! That a set of warding tails, I spy. Thought I would know what they look like. Wow, look at these! Even a layman like me could tell they're bursting with ether. All the better to fend off the tempering waves? Is that the right term? Anyway, this will give us one less thing to worry about, which leaves the other mountain of whatever else is waiting for us in Garlemald. Only one way to find out, eh? And nervous or not, I'd march through all 7 hells if it gave me a chance to put Xenos back in the grave where he belongs. Warning skills for the Ishgardian delegation, I take it. Many thanks. These talismans may prove to be the deciding factor in the battle to come. I find myself conflicted by this foray into Garlemald, sent by the Empire to infiltrate Ishgard, only to throw in my lot with those whose secrets I was supposed to be stealing. And now I lead a mission to save the countrymen I betrayed. But that is doubtless why I was chosen by Lord Emmerich. He would have me put my extensive knowledge and former ties to good use. I will not disappoint him. For the future of Ishgard, Garlemald, and the world at large, I will lead us to victory. We heard it would be cold in Garlemald, so we came prepared. Oh, the talismans. We are to keep these close at all times, yes? I'll see that no one misses them. Oh, and before I forget, I have a message from Ian. In distant lands and times I strive, together stand, together fight. In darkness shines the light of life. Hope I have done his words justice. Doma, like much of Althard, has been plagued by the towers. Yet while he could not be here, he wished to express his shared conviction. He and the Yugiri labor without rest to unite the people, and with their aid will we keep the enemy at bay. And we of the Steppe and the Eastern Alliance will repay their efforts by ending this war. And one for Maxima. Do you have a warning scale for me too? Thank you for this. And for going to such incredible lengths for the sake of my people. If I have little to offer in return, I would impart some advice, if I may. You have been told by many to wear the cold of Ilzabard, and I cannot stress enough that this is no token warning. I will be distributing specially made warming tinctures, courtesy of the Alchemist Guild. I understand that they are no substitute for proper protection. I lead to provisioning of said protection to your destruction. But let us proceed to the Alamean Quarter. While you make your final preparations, I will have the pilots ready the airships. This is our last chance to make ready before we set forth. You needn't worry about Urianger and I. We still have what we wore in Galamal before. Ascending claims to be quite warm and toasty beneath his armor, and since he spent a fair bit of time up north recently as well, I have no reason to doubt his words. Most of the others will be borrowing Grand Company stock. The rest of you could do likewise, I suppose, provided you're not overly concerned with style. Not to put too fine a point on it, but I wouldn't be seen dead in one of those ridiculous overcoats. If only I had time to find something to my liking. Hawk, is that the cry of the Scions in need of a tailor, I hear? Is that Tataru? It is! But how? I have my ways. Oh yes, indeed. You thought you could sneak off to Ilzabard without telling me? Ha, nothing escapes my notice. Now, you will wear these garments I've made for you whether you like it or not. On time! You never cease to amaze. But why do you need a new outfit as well? Wait, are you coming with us? What? No, of course not, silly. It's all in the name of fashion. Rather the pursuit of highest quality fashion. Besides, how can I expect others to wear my creations if I've never worn them myself? Ah, I did have one other thing to share. Artemis and I have no idea, have finally returned from assignments in faraway lands. They'll be staying at the Rising Stones for a while to keep an eye on events throughout Eorzea. Since they'll be running things back at headquarters, I was wondering if I could lend a hand to Charlian. Oh, why not? You can keep Cryo Company in the Baldessian Annex. Yes, we'd love to have you there. I heard Artemis. I'm not going to try and read those names. They did a fine job carrying it on in our stead while we were lying comatose. With them in charge of the Rising Stones, we've nothing to worry about. I thought exactly. Also, while I'm confident you won't go collapsing again, because certain someone who shall remain nameless is in a position to transport yourselves to another world, if anything similarly disastrous were to happen, I'll be well positioned to do something about it. Anyway, I've got a few things to take care of, and then I'll make my way to Charlian. I really do hope these new clothes are enough to keep you warm in Galamal. It's not much, but it's the only thing I can do for you, other than pray for your safe return. Which I will, every day. Let's not keep the contingent waiting any longer. Here are your winter woolies, handcraft by yours truly. Let me see here. What does this look like? Not bad. New glamour piece? I will take it. I'm told the airship pilot has been sent to meet you. Ah, there he is. Alright, this is where we go our separate ways. Do be careful, won't you? I need to take a bathroom break. All right. It's an honor to finally meet you. We, the Garland Ironworks, will be ferrying you and your contingent across the mountains and into Garlemald. For many of us, it will be something of a homecoming. Our illustrious founder was only our most notable Imperial defector. For that reason, the company is committed to the success of this expedition. Our resources are at your disposal. If there is aught we might do to be of further assistance, please do not hesitate to ask. If you are ready to depart, I will ready the engines. Ooh. Oh, that's instance. Hang on. Cutscenes. Side quests. No side quests. Okay, we'll just go.
Ilsabad, divided in twain by a vast mountain range. Those who would traverse its jagged peaks face peril at every step. But why go by foot when one can simply fly?
We're finally going to Garlemald. I am so excited.
On the outskirts of the Imperial capital, in the frozen wastes of the Magna Glacius. The winds howl in icy protest, as if to warn against further trespass.
We've received word from Thancred's reconnaissance party. They've sighted a detachment of heavily armed Imperials.
Survivors of the Civil War, perhaps?
Perhaps, but there is more to it than that. Maxima reports that they're led by Vergilia, legatus of the 3rd Legion, which comprises the bulk of their number. However, they are also joined by several members of the 1st.
From what I recall, the 3rd Legion fought for Nerva in the War of Succession following Varus's death. The 1st, on the other hand, were under the direct command of the Emperor and rejected Nerva's claim to the throne. These legions were enemies.
Indeed. In fact, our sources claim that it was a conflict between them that sparked the Civil War. Yet now, these former foes cooperate to defend a ruined Garlemald from invasion.
Which means they're definitely under
Then it is all but
being
certain they have
tempered.
been tempered.
So, what's the plan? If me and my crew is out reaving, we charge straight in, no messing about. But that ain't what we're here for.
Quite right. Soldiers or no, they are people of Garlemald, the very ones we have come to aid. Direct confrontation is unavoidable. Nevertheless, we must make every effort to limit casualties on both sides. Rather than kill them, I would remove them from the field.
How so? Savage beatings, disarmament, and imprisonment? Not impossible, but easier said than done in the heat of battle.
Having observed the opposition, I imagine Thancred had something to suggest?
He did. He and the other scouts have already infiltrated a supply depot some distance beyond the Imperial detachment's current position. Stored within is a stockpile of Magitech armaments, and once we give the signal, Thancred's team will destroy them all. In so doing, we will deprive frontline troops of materiel, and likely force the detachment to send men to investigate.
Divide and conquer. Not a bad idea.
Once the scouts have finished their preparations, we will split into two groups. The first will form the vanguard, while the other brings up the rear with our supplies. As for the Scions, I ask that you lend your assistance where you deem it needed most. I would prefer, however, that you accompany the rearguard and be prepared to join the van at a moment's notice. Kept in reserve as our trump card, so to speak.
Nice look, Thancred.
Your proposal was well received. More specifically, they asked that we destroy the Imperial's toys in as spectacular a fashion as possible.
Y'shtola always did have a flair for the dramatic. She's not an easy woman to please, but I shall do my best to satisfy her thirst for fireworks. All right, once more for my peace of mind. Our first objective will be to rig the enemy's Magitech with explosives. After we've withdrawn to a safe distance, we'll detonate them remotely. Our second will be to issue a deactivation command to the automated units via the control terminal. If our calculations are correct, this signal should reach those deployed on the front line, giving our friends a much-needed upper hand. The blizzard will help us stay hidden, so let's aim to get in and out before it passes. Trust in the plan, and we should all live to see tomorrow.
In the meantime, I will relay messages back and forth as the situation unfolds. You'll forgive me if I ask again, but are you certain you wish to play the lone wolf?
Wouldn't have it any other way. Call it foolish and reckless if you like, but I'll get the job done. I always do.
Very well. I wish you the best of luck.
Ooh, I get to play as Thancred. Nice. Assuming there's nothing else you wish to confirm, we may commence the mission as soon as you are ready. Go over to find out details of the plan. In the coming battle, you will fight as Thancred. You have two objectives. Place explosives on the Imperial Magitech. Deactivate the front line Magitech units via the control terminal. If the guards detect and pursue you, enemy forces will become more aware of the threat you pose, as indicated by the threat awareness gauge, which is that. The gauge will gradually fill until you delete all alerted enemies. If the gauge is completely filled, the guards will call for reinforcements and the mission will end in failure. Use swift deception to avoid detection as you go about completing your objectives. Okay. Let's learn about the mission exclusive actions. Make sure I have everything taken care of. Success in the mission hinges on the following points. Swift deception renders Thancred invisible and increases his movement speed. While active, enemy soldiers and Magitech will be unable to perceive Thancred's presence, even if they are within close proximity. However, it has no effect on the guard dog's acute sense of smell, and they will be able to detect Thancred regardless. However, this action can only be used outside of combat. It will also be unavailable when Thancred attempts to deactivate Magitech fields or execute certain other actions. Okay. Thancred's silent takedown will instantly render a soldier unconscious. It can only be used when swift deception is in effect. Though it cannot be used on Magitech or guard dogs, utilizing silent takedown whenever possible is essential in clearing the path to your objectives. Okay. As guard dogs can detect Thancred even when swift deception is active, you can instead use a bewilderment bomb to distract them and sneak past unnoticed. Conversely, bewilderment bombs have no effect on Magitech or soldiers, so take care to choose the right tool for the situation. Alright. Alright, I have everything I need, so let's get going.
It's time. We only have one shot at this, so let's make it count.
I can't go that way, so...
This is Tancred. The explosives are in place.
Very good. All is proceeding as planned. Head to the control terminal. It should be to the northwest.
Understood. Have the others wait at the rendezvous point.
Whoop! Uh-oh. Uh-oh, what was that? Oh crud, oh crud, oh crud. Nope, you didn't see anything. Woo!
You are returned, and none the worse for wear, to my considerable relief.
What news from our comrades?
They stand at the ready.
Excellent. Then let the fireworks begin.
A few moments later, at the rear of the Ilzabard's contingent supply caravan.
The blizzard's beginning to clear. The Vanguard should be engaging the Imperials any moment now, if they haven't already. Ishtola and the others are with them, so I'm sure they'll be all right, but...
We've got company.
Something's coming!
Oi, oi! Looks like we ain't the only ones who sent out scouts. Keep them away from the carriages! We lose those, and we're as good as dead!
Protect the others!
carriage is safe.
Fear not, friends! The savior of Ishgard is here!
Bruh.
But the other carriages are still in danger. Go on ahead. We'll hold the line.
We're the only ones who can Time we put our backs into it again. I've been itching for a good time.
Magitech reinforcements? Oh! Ooh.
We're fine. I'm ready for more.
Hear that? Get to the front. Turn the tide.
Meanwhile, on the front line.
Removed from the field was not a euphemism for enthusiastically murder.
It's nothing that won't heal in time. The trouble is, their tempering has made them utterly fearless. Subduing them would be easier if they had the capacity to submit in the first place.
Well, this is the path our young charges would have us walk, and that we all agreed to follow. You knew it would be hard, yet still you pledged your lance, did you not?
That I did.
That's for Gilia. Damn it. I need to help the others take her down.
There's no end to them!
Oh no. This one's mine.
I was wondering when you'd turn up. There's no stopping us now. Come on. Let's show them what we're made of.
Pippin!
We have them now!
Come on, lock on the thing!
A worthy adversary. Rest, recover, reclaim yourself. Then we will fight again, to the death.
Sadu had too.
That was the last of them. The day is ours, thanks to your timely arrival. What of the supply caravan? Outmaneuvered, but not outmatched. Good. Let us take the Imperials into custody and rejoin our comrades. And soon we shall arrive at the capital.
So cold and unforgiving. Thus spoke Emperor Solus as he gazed upon his barren domain. "800 years it had been since the Garleans first set foot here. Bested by the Kavosi, after centuries of war and driven from fertile southern pastures into the blasted northern wastes. In that garden of desolation, they clung to one another for warmth, freezing, hungry, desperate, hated. The chosen forsaken. In the year 1513 of the 6th Astral Era, a young legatus named Solus single-handedly sparked the Magitech Revolution. How did he conceive the machina that feed on ceruleum? Once a common, soft-spoken soldier, how had he so quickly ascended through the ranks? Like so many others, those who knew the truth are gone. Taking in the capital with his eyes for the first time, I recall thinking to myself, far colder on the earth than in the heavens. Yes, far colder indeed. Bitterly so.
Not so much as a whisper.
The roads leading beyond the city walls would have been used less in recent years. Nevertheless, this was one of the most important gateways into the capital.
A buzz day and night with activity, aye. Merchants passing through the checkpoint, many of them stopping at the local hostelries.
Surely they cannot all have been tempered.
We can consider the question after we have made camp. If we spend any longer outside, we may well freeze to death where we stand. The tempered Imperials, too.
This will be our temporary base of operations. Secure shelter for ourselves and the injured, and dispatch scouts to survey the surrounding area.
If we're planning on staying here a while, we ought to give this place a proper name.
But enough of this. To work, everyone!
Okay, so with that, I think I'm going to end the live stream here for today. We shall complete the rest of this mission on Monday. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the live stream, please leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out my other droids in our page. Click the link in the description below to achieve your dream. Be Makaka, believe you get your you won't be disappointed. And of course, you get to click that little bell button if you wish to be notified whenever I upload a video or a live stream to my channel. And most importantly, if you wish to see a Let's Play done, you can do so by checking out my playlist section. All my videos are there archived for European entertainment, so you can watch Let's Plays like God of War, Final Fantasy XV, Sword Art Online, Lost Song, and many, many more. Thank you all for watching. As always, your host, Tomoya, saying along Z, and I'll see you in the next adventure. Goodbye, everyone!